So Lawrence, we normally ask that people rename themselves where at the end of their name, they put their current status along the journey. So
okay.
if you've declared, or if you're taken the exam, or whichever.
Sure.
Or if you passed, like Don.
Congratulations. I decided I'm going to wait to declare until after this review for Sherman. So that way I have 2 years from then.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea. Wait until you're ready to take the test before you declare.
Yeah.
Do all your studying before, even though that's not what the PPA says.
But you do still have access to a lot of the materials. So
Yes, I'm
looking stuff in.
yes, I'm reviewing the videos now.
Are there any that you had trouble following, or that raised questions?
Not so far. I'm just at the beginning of them, so.
I've never had to change my name before. Where do you change your name?
Oh, you go to if you look at your own image and you go and you hover on the top right, you'll see 3 little dots, and use that drop down, and at the bottom it should say rename.
Okay, Chuck, do you want to go over the question that was put out on Facebook?
Ah,
Might be a good place to start.
well, let me find it. Okay, there it is. Polarizing filter reduces the reflection of non-metallic surfaces by blocking what? Alpha rays, color rays, light rays, or gamma rays.
Do you just
Do.
Go ahead,
Okay,
Lawrence.
light rays?
I saw that question before.
We have one
Unless-
vote for light rays and any other
Unless you're Bruce Banner, it's gamma rays.
vote?
Yeah,
yeah.
I want to say, I saw that question before. The D?
The polarized blocks the glare. What is glare? Reflected what? Let's see, right now, if I zoom in there, I have some glare on my glasses. You can see it.
Mm-hmm.
What is that glare coming from?
Light.
Light? Yeah. Oh, okay.
You're beginning to see it now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope, I don't have the answer up, Ron does. But yeah, when you get polarizing sunglasses, they block the glare, and the glare is caused by light reflected off some other surface, usually another car's windshield coming at you, which is not fun.
Mm.
And so the polarized blocks the light.
Okay.
Okay, got it.
So let me I've unshared for a second while I go find the.
So the question is why?
Well, now we got second quest part 2.
So why does it block it? Or
Yeah.
How does it block it?
Well, either.
Polarizers are very, very tiny slits. And then when you it only lets certain wavelengths come in at a certain angle. So I think when it bounces off something, it kind of scatters those light rays in all directions. So you want to just have it all come at whatever is reading that light in one direction. Am I correct, sir? Like that?
Yeah, that's pretty good. So basically, the polarizing glasses are full of slits, and all the light that's any other angle other than the orientation of the slit won't get through. And reflected light, as it bounces off, is often more polarized, not completely, but more polarized. And that means that if it's in a different direction to your glasses, that reflected light won't get through. But the light underneath the surface that is not polarized has light rays that are all directions, and they do come through. And that's why you can see fish in the through the reflection on the surface of a river, and also the light that is in the sky, the blue light, is scattered by the particles, so it's going in all directions. So when you use a polarizing filter on the sky, you'll block out a lot of the scatter, a lot of the light that's bouncing off those particles, and it becomes deeper blue because you're reducing the amount of light that comes through. So your subjects still look normal in bright sunlight, but your scattered light coming from the sky turns out to be darker. Colors get richer. So it does several things. And what's one of the other things about a polarizing filter that is different to almost all of the other filters that we might put on our lens? Open question, anybody?
Oh, okay. I have a question about filters. Like, how much do we have to know about the different filters, like 80A, 80B, C, 81A, B? Do we need to know all the differences, or?
Well, really, that depends. So if
Okay.
you can recognize that gamma rays are a kind of a radiation, and alpha rays are, well, I'm not even sure if they're rays, but they're, the rays which are in the electromagnetic spectrum, but they're not part of light waves, that will be a clue that those two answers are wrong.
Oh, no, I mean, just in general for the test. Like, would they ask you specific questions about, like?
So if you're new to this, on the CPP portion of the PPA website, there's an example test, and it has 50 questions. This is one of them, actually. It's 50 sample questions. And so generally, when we look at them, you can probably pick out a couple that are wrong because they're just alternatives or they don't make sense.
Okay.
And then often there's a couple that are close, and so you have to know a little bit more about that topic. In the 100-question exam, you have to get over 70 correct. So it does give you a bit of latitude. So in terms of passing the exam, 70% is not really a high percentage. And they don't ask you what an alpha ray is and what a gamma ray is.
Right.
But in terms of polarization, it's the light that it affects. So it's kind of a bit of a general answer. And they're not necessarily asking you the details of the science behind polarization, but if you know it, then you can probably work better as a photographer. So the idea of the CPP syllabus is it's very broad. And if you're a wet photographer from film in the old days, you need to study up on the digital nature of photography today. If you've done natural light, you need to learn flash, etc., because those questions are probably going to be on the test. So I'd say it's probably easier to pass than it is to be a good photographer.
It's taking a test, memorizing, really.
And the key at the beginning, if you're just beginning, is that you need to identify where your gaps are. So you might have done a lot of product photography or studio lighting on natural or events or whatever it might be. So find the areas where you find there are more things that you don't know, and those are the places to study up. And the example test is a great way to do it. You take it online, and at the end it tells you which of the answers that were right or wrong and what you scored. And also it gives you the references from which those questions were derived, the pages and the publication version of the book and the author, etc. And just so that you know, one of the most popular books that is used as a reference is the London and Upton photography book, which is on the screen at the moment. And there's a digital version of that, which is like $25 instead of paying $100 for the print book. So it depends on how you like to read. But that one is searchable. So what I did is that I searched through this book whilst we were discussing to see if London and Upton had a diagram to show you polarization actually working, and they don't.
No, but here's the actual reference to the question. This is London Upton book, edition 12, page 88 is where they reference it to, and it says Polarized reduces reflections from non-metallic surface such as water or glass. But there is a disadvantage to using it. And you look over here, you're going to lose about 1 1/3 stops. So you have to change your exposure to compensate for that. And then over here on the side tells you polarizing filter affects only light vibrating at certain angles.
Okay, could you stop? Could you not share the page for a moment because you're going to give away the answer to the next question?
What page?
So my question, we diverted for Lawrence to give him the kind of framework of the exam, but what is different about a polarizing filter than almost all the other filters that we might put on our lens?
I
Yeah,
would say
so
it was
what-
adjustable.
Adjustable in what way?
You can turn the lens so it lets lights through, or you can turn it where it won't let it. It also will darken clouds and things like that, or bluer skies.
Right, exactly. So yeah, a circular
It blocks the
polarizing
sun
filter,
too, right?
a circular polarizing filter actually is two circular metal frames together. One holds the glass, and you can rotate it so that whilst you're looking through the lens, you can rotate the polarizing filter to adjust it for more or less of the darkening that you want. So you adjust it to taste, but that's so that you can line it up with the direction of the polarized light that is coming through, and get the best effect. So that's there might be other filters like a graduated filter. You might want to tilt it if you got the side of a mountain and you want something like that. But in general, neutral density filters and other filters, color correction filters, we don't rotate. We could put it back, Chuck, if you want to show the.
Well, you can keep going. I'm looking for a diagram that shows the.
Yeah, I
Polarized.
didn't find it. I found it online separately. So we try not to use material that is not part of PPA's endorsed education sources, but sometimes we go there. And that's because, whatever you read on the internet may or may not agree with how PPA are going to ask and expect your answers to the questions.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything that was nice and easy, but so we'll just.
So the reason I asked the why questions is so that if we talk about it a little bit more later on, maybe if you didn't know part of the why, then you might understand how it works. So even if you don't understand the word necessarily, you'll still hopefully remember something about why it works that way, and then be able to use it. Because one of the reasons I did my CPP was so that I could find gaps in my own knowledge and be better prepared for unexpected situations in the future. And that I think really helps. And we've got Mia joining us. Welcome, Mia.
Hi.
Mia
Hey,
is in
Mia.
Oregon.
Hey, who's saying hi? I hear
That
hi.
was me.
Oh.
Here.
I checked. I made it.
Yay!
Woo. It's called LIFE, you know?
Yeah, someday I'm going to get one of those.
Well, now that Mia has arrived and you've got plenty of CPP liaisons, I'm going to say buy and opt out because I have a multi-week trip coming up and I'm full of stuff preparing, but I didn't want to let you down in case nobody showed up today. So good luck to everyone, and I'll see you in December. And hopefully I'll have some great shots. I'm going to Jordan and Egypt. So that could be an exciting trip for photography. So
That's my country of choice. If I was to leave here, I'd go to Egypt.
great. So the image submission is open, and I'm sure that the other liaisons will remind you of the link to go and schedule image submissions if anyone's at that point. We do a technical image evaluation preview so that we go through your images before you submit them and make you go through the checklist and tell us that you are sure that they pass. And yesterday I did one of these for someone at our PPA affiliate, and there was a little dubious thing on the last image. So if it's a risk and you take that risk, you have to wait until the next image submission period if it doesn't pass, which they're every 2 months, except between October and February is a 4-month gap. So yeah, with that advertisement, I'm sure someone will drop the link in there.
I have to do that now.
For the calendar, and I'll say goodbye and see you all in December.
Bye.
Bye.
Safe
Have fun.
travels.
Thank you.
I think my question about filters is, do we have to know the specifics like the 80A and the 80B and the 80C. And are there specific questions on those filters? 81A, 81B, FLWs, FLTs.
I don't remember them getting that specific.
Okay,
And if they are, all the questions are multiple choice, or
right. So
there are a
just,
couple true false in there, I think.
Mhm.
But almost all of them are multiple choice. And so, you can eliminate some right away, like on that last question.
Yeah.
Alpha waves and gamma rays, they're outside the visual spectrum. So
Mhm.
they're gone immediately. You can't see those without special equipment.
Gamma rays for Bruce Banner.
Right. Yeah.
He's the Hulk.
Yeah. You can see the effect of them.
Well, there
They turn
may,
green.
there may or may not be, gosh, it's been a while now, for the CTO and what that might mean.
Mhm.
So, I mean, those types of specifics, maybe
Okay.
kind of have a little bit in your hip pocket. Well, I understand this filter, the polarizers for
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
and these for that, and but like
think it was-
Chuck says, maybe deep down, no, not
Okay.
necessarily, but
Know it.
and they're
Read up on it.
changing. Next year, it's changing. One of our affiliates here is on the committee to making sure that that test is accurate and fair.
Up to date.
So they are going to be changing it. But that happens. It rolls
Okay.
around and changes as
Yeah.
time changes.
Yeah.
So-
I believe they
Mhm.
update the test every 3 years, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah. Every 3 years. And, they're in the process of updating it now. And so next year they'll release the
3 more.
version of it. Yeah.
You know,
There's always 3 versions of the test. So you never know which one you're going to get. Every version's a little bit different.
there's always tech changes. I mean, it's coming so fast, so you gotta keep up with the
Got
stuff.
a question. The image submission where you want to have somebody review that, do you have to make an appointment for that?
The calendar is open. Matter of fact, I just put the link to it in the chat.
Okay,
It's a really long link that was basically complete alphabet soup in there. But you click on that and that takes you to the scheduling calendar. And you can schedule the day and time that you want to have somebody review it. And whatever of the
Liaisons that are available.
what she said, we'll go ahead and set up a Zoom link for you.
okay,
And the way we do it over Zoom. You share your screen with your 3 images. And we kind of walk you through that technical image checklist that the evaluators use, same one. And then you kind of look at it and tell us, okay, can you check off this box? Can you check off this box? And once you've determined that you can check off all the boxes, then you're ready to submit.
and when does this review part go to? What's the date on that?
Well, right now the calendar is open. The next review session starts Friday at noon. This Friday, the 1st, and it goes to the 15th at noon.
I'm talking about where you have someone to preview and do the checklist.
Oh, that usually starts about a week before the submission period opens and runs through the end of the submission period.
Oh, okay, all right,
It's open now.
okay, good, yeah.
It's open now. If you clicked on that link, it would take you to the calendar and you could sign up for whoever's available.
Okay,
You don't know who's available. Sometimes we don't know.
okay.
I think I'm available. Yeah.
Another question.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Go
Number
right.
30, number 35 on the sample tests.
Okay, let me find that. Main light is placed at 45 degrees from the subject and set to F11. In order to have a 3-to-1 lighting ratio, what should the fill light be if it is placed behind the camera? And you have the choices of F2.8, F8, F11, and F16.
I think my question is just like, could you run through your process of how you calculate it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, my process of how I do that, let me get back to everybody, is I use the piggy bank version. Okay. The main light being at 45 degrees, it's only going to hit the one side of the face. It's not going to get the other. And it's at $1. I have a really cheap piggy bank. So I got $1 coming from the main light right here. The fill light is going to be, it's going to hit both sides of the face. Now, if I set it 2 stops below, if I set it 2 stops below, instead of $1, it's only putting out what? 25 cents. Okay. So now I got 25 cents coming at my face. 25 cents on this side, 25 cents on this side. The 25 cents on this side adds to the $1 from the main light, right? So I got $1.25 here. I got 25 cents here. What's the ratio between the two?
4 to 1.
4 to 1, 5 to 1, something like that.
Was it 5 to 1? 5 to 1.
So it's 5 to 1 ratio.
Mhm,
I got a 5 to 1 ratio. So obviously 2 stops below F11 isn't going to work. So then you have to figure out, okay, so in order to get a 3 to 1, I want $1 hitting this side and 50 cents hitting both sides. And so to go from $1 to 50 cents, how many stops? 1 stop. What's 1 stop below F11? And the other thing, you know, this is another one where you can just, you know, eliminate some of them. You know, obviously going higher on your fill light than your main light isn't going to do it. So then that eliminates F11 and F16 right off the bat because they're adding more light. You don't want to add less light to one side. So now all you've got is F2.8 and F8. And the 2.8 is, you know, that's also pretty easy to get rid of.
It's way too extreme.
Yeah. And I did not come up with the piggyback method. I stole that from Steve Kozak. Because that's how he has it in his book. It's a little piggy bank. I think Ron uses a water. Ron uses a water sprinkler. But they both work the same. And they do it because, and the reason they have it that way on the test is because you're only dealing with full stops. If you had them each at a 45-degree angle, then you've got to deal with half stops. And to keep the test simple, they try and stick with full stops. There might be 1 or 2 questions they sneak in with a half stop, but those are pretty easy because all you got to do is look at whatever choices between the full stops.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Anyone, did that clear it up for you?
Yeah.
Or did I add more confusion?
I think it just I tend to overthink a little bit, but I got there, but I just want to see if I can find a more efficient method.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's very easy to overthink some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Most people have a tendency to overthink it. Think it.
I think, yeah, the first thing I do is just like, yeah, if I usually write the answer on one side. If this is 2.8, then how much is this hitting? And then if this is 8, and how much is this hitting? So, yeah.
Well, the one thing that you do have is at the beginning of the test, you had the availability to brain dump. So you get all your ISOs and all your F-stops and all that written down.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, all it is a glance over and go, oh yeah, that many stops, you know. So you get to do that, which, you know, I consider that open book in a way because you're writing down the main important things that are going to get you through a shoot.
And like I tell everybody, I did that brain dump before every practice test I took. And when I done with the test, I threw my little cheat sheet away and started over.
Yeah, you guys talked about the 5 things to write down. So
Yeah, we talked about that last week. We went over all the things, and that's really helpful because it's all stuff. By the time you take the test, you know that information.
Mhm.
All it does is makes it so you don't have to stop and think about it when you're under pressure of taking a test with a time limit on it. Because let's face it, just taking the test is enough pressure. You don't want to add to it. All right, anybody else got anything? Like I tell people, if I don't know the answer, I'll make something up and I'll make it sound believable.
Hey, Lawrence, if you go actually into the studio and take your light meter and set up your lights and prove that to yourself,
Mhm.
you know, then that's going to be a really good way for you to remember it when you come to the exam, because it's like the physical process of going through it and proving it to yourself is going to really weld it in there.
Oh yeah.
Also, I'd suggest remembering certain ones, like what the f-stops are for 3-to-1 light ratio and what the relative f-stops are for that. Because once you understand how that works, then it'll always be the same. It just depends on what f-stop you start with to figure out what your other light is. So if it's always like one f-stop lower,
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
they can tell you start out at f11, they can tell you start out at f16 or f8. Doesn't matter as long as you know where the other light
That's right.
is
Yeah, that's
relative.
good.
You know?
That's great. Thank you.
And a 3-to-1 is the most common anyway for the portrait. So if you stick with that, like you do your Sunny 16 rule when you're outside, then you've got base marks to start with. So.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. That's
Right.
very
So
helpful.
the 3-to-1 is the most common when you're dealing with PPA and the tests and everything. I don't know a whole lot of people that stick to 3-to-1. Most people I know, because they want it to be really dramatic, will do a 4-to-1 or 5-to-1. Or
when you're shooting kids, though, you know, when you're going for those young ones, like Ron shoots a lot of younger children, because too, you know, you don't need that drama.
right, you don't need that. And a lot of times for that or for professional headshots, a lot of times you just do split lighting.
Right. That's for you more, you know, when you're starting to edge into let's open
More
up that
dramatic
creative
stuff.
window a little bit more. And
You mean photographic drama, not kid drama, right?
right. Yeah, no, you don't need that though. For their little
How about
faces.
do teenage drama? That's like a 20-to-1.
Well,
ratio.
now they may want a little more drama. Some of the seniors and the middle school kids that are now becoming very interested in having portraits done and images done because of the social media aspect. They know exactly where their head is. They know what kind of profile they want to put out there. And so maybe some of the, 4-to-1 ratios are appropriate for them, because that's where they're looking. That's how they want their persona to be, because they know exactly what they want. They're more dialed in than we are.
And of course, next month you'll get into the, 8-to-1, 10-to-1, 15-to-1, because of the month it is. Everybody wants their spooky
October
Halloween photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, with kids, you just put light out there and hope for the best with them. They happen to have the attention span of a gnat.
Interestingly, I had one client come in and they were convinced that a high contrast ratio was a sign of a professional picture. So it was a 3-to-1, and they were convinced they could have done it themselves. So you need to know how to get to there when you need to for them.
Yeah.
Oh, could I continue? Anybody else have a question, or else I'm gonna ask another one?
Nobody else has one? Knock yourself out.
Okay. Bellows.
Not on the test.
Not on the test? Okay, yes. I think I took Steve
That's everybody's
Kozak's.
reaction, right?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, I have this list of things I need to study. I said, okay, no bellows. Great.
It doesn't mean you can't know it.
Yep, that's very true.
The
But my
answer-
test is tomorrow, and I'm just
Oh.
we're not gonna put that in my brain. The guide numbers. Do we need to know anything about guide numbers?
I don't remember anything on that. And
I would recommend knowing them,
Knowing it?
but the
Mhm.
chances of them being on the exam aren't huge.
Okay.
But definitely knowing them is really important.
It's
when
a good
you're out
idea,
buying
yeah.
a new strobe light.
Right. Okay.
yeah, and from what I heard, that's beginning to follow the film.
And you have to watch out when they do guide numbers, because guide numbers are determined at a specific ISO.
Mhm.
Okay, and a lot of times what they'll do sometimes is they'll mess around and they'll change the ISO on you in the footnotes on the page, but they want to make them look more powerful than the last guy. So you got to watch out for that.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a question. I'm not sure what you're talking about with guide numbers, actually, so.
All right.
If I'm not mistaken, the guide number is just taking the f-stop times the distance multiplied together, and that gives you kind of an absolute measure of power.
I'm finding, here it is in the London Upton book, because this is why we recommend everybody, if they can, get this London Upton book, because the glossary, and I'm sure that PPA has it on their glossary. I haven't looked it up there, but this tells you what the guide number is. Let me zoom in so everybody can see it real nice and easy.
Guide number is equal to the f-stop times the distance. Yeah.
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 If you have the guide number and you know the distance, you divide the guide number by the distance, and that tells you what your f-stop should be. Oh, and let me see if I can find that. So that's what they have in the London Upton book, which is going to be the main reference.
Yeah. So
Let me see if I can find that on the PPA website in their glossary.
yeah. So guide number is equal to f-stop times distance you are away. So if you want to find the f-stop to use, you take your guide number divided by your distance, and that'll give you your f-stop. And that's really handy when you're out there in the field and you got your strobe set up at a certain intensity, and you want to understand how your light intensity is going to change if you move your light further or away or closer to your subject. One other thing to watch out for the guide numbers is that, and you ever wonder how they get such high guide numbers for strobe lights, for like speed lights? Because what they do, you never wondered about that, Lawrence? He says no. Inside the head of your strobe light, they've got a magnifying lens, okay? And what that'll do is when you're out at very close up, it'll spread the light out real far. But if you're going off at, you put your 200 millimeter lens on, it looks at what your focal length is, and it will actually focus the light down into a smaller spot. So you're not illuminating the whole field of view. You're only illuminating the spot which supposedly the camera is taking a picture of. Okay. So from your perspective, everything that's visible on your sensors is illuminated, but in actuality, the strobe light is narrowed down to a smaller area. So it concentrates all that light down to a smaller area and gives you it properly illuminated, but it isn't like the whole scene is illuminated like that. It's just that small area. Speed lights do that. Mono lights do not. So you have to be careful that you lose that advantage with a mono light.
Just a little thing here. Did you know that speed lights without the little diffuser in place casts an oval light? And if you put the speed light diffuser, you know, the little plastic piece you pull up and slide over the light, then it opens it up to more of a circle, but your shadow definition is kind of blotchy. It's not real defined in a circle, and it fades off really well. But that's a little trick to know, because who knew that a speed light without its little diffuser threw an oval light?
Yeah.
I did not. I
That's
did
probably,
not know
probably
that.
by the shape of that thing is kind of flat anyway.
It throws
so.
an oval light. Yeah. So if you know, it's kind of cool to know in the back of your head somewhere.
And I did find that guide number definition on the PPA website. when you go through all your things and you get to the glossary, it takes you to Quizlet, the little flashcards.
Mhm.
And there you go, your CPP glossary, which is on Quizlet, and the guide number, that's the same thing it had in the London and Upton book.
That's probably where they got it from, huh?
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Or they just made it up, made it sound believable.
This sounds good.
Yeah, let's go with that one.
Yeah, just watch out for that, because when you go and you buy a new strobe light, they love to play games with that number. And you got to be really careful, because it even comes down to the size of reflector that's around the strobe. Because like if you buy strobe with a 7-inch reflector around it, it's going to look less powerful than one with a 4-inch reflector around it, because that 4-inch reflector is throwing more of the light forward. Okay. And they only measure it in one spot out there. So you got to be careful, really careful when you're buying your strobe light to incorporate all the things that could change your intensity. So they love to play with that guide number, almost to the point where it's almost not even worthwhile trying to measure anymore. And maybe that's why from my point of view, they don't really tend to drill it into you so much on the CPP exam.
Yeah, like I said, I think they're good because most of the time they just like, okay, it's this many watt seconds. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Which doesn't tell you any more than the guide number did.
It's the same thing as telling you the voltage on your light. I mean, it's all depends on how you use the power, not how much power it has, where you throw it and everything. So more complicated than that.
Where did you get the PDF for the Pearson and Upton, or the
London
Upton?
Upton. Hold on, let me get that for you, and I'll put it in the chat.
Perfect, thank you. I think I have the physical version, but we moved just last year, and it's in a box somewhere.
The PDF version is cool because you can just type in what you're looking for, and it all comes up on the right side or left side. I think it's left side. And yeah.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat.
Thank you.
And like I said, it's $24.99. I didn't buy it until after I already had my CPP, but it's come in very handy for stuff.
And like anything else, you refer, those are your little Bibles, and you refer back to them, over time. Sometimes you think your iPhone or whatever phone you're using, and then you go back to the manual or you look it up online. You're going to refer back to those, often.
Yeah.
Throughout your career. So, they're not disposables, use them now and toss them later. You keep those things.
Okay. Anybody else got a question?
I just downloaded the book.
Yay.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a useful book. If nothing else, just having that glossary. So, because I know, well, Chris isn't on this call, but he was saying there was a lot of things that he knew, but the terms he knew weren't the same as what PPA was using in the CPP. And so he knew it by one term and had to go look it up to find out what term they used for the same thing. And
that's part of the problem with YouTube EDU, because everybody has a different style and everybody calls something a little different, even if it's the same thing. And you're watching this person and you're watching that person, and you're gaining a lot of knowledge, but you're making maybe some bad habits along the way. So if you stick with what has been tried and true over history, then you're going to set yourself also apart from other people as well once you get your CPP, because you are using the same language as they are. Whatever surgeon because you said the word, Chuck, they have their own set of language, and golfers have their own set of language, and we have our own set of language.
Yeah. And you've got the PPA CPP language, which I also had to learn Sally. Sally's got her own language for a lot of stuff. All right. Anybody have anything else? We're coming up on 1 o'clock here. And of
Not
course,
me. I'm ready.
I'm good. So.
And as
Okay.
always, if you want to review this, give them a little bit of time, but Ron will get it posted up online and you can review this whole session. Matter of fact,
Great.
you can go up online and you can review, I think, pretty much every study break we've ever had, because we've been recording them forever.
You can watch me dance in the beginning of this one because nobody was here. So it's just like,
Yeah, if you go on the CPP exam study group page, then we have them all posted there. You can just go right down the list.
Yeah. I mean, you can go back in history and, even if you got your CPP, it's kind of nice to go through looking at it. Laugh at yourself or what? I really asked a question.
so that's what I was wearing that.
Chances are, if you have the question, someone else is going to have the same question.
Right.
So,
Pretty much nobody has asked any questions that somebody else hasn't already asked.
Well, we'll see you next week,
Well,
maybe.
thank you.
All right. We'll see everybody next week.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.